Bienvenidos al curso módulo de competitividad 10, código FG708, semana número 4. Our topics for today are: first, Holdridge model; second, life zones in Guatemala; third, examples of life zones in Guatemala. This is Elio Ochoa Escobar, professor of this course. Let's continue. Class objectives. Number 1, study the Holdridge life zones model. Number 2, define the different life zones in Guatemala. And number 3, describe the characteristics of some life zones in Guatemala. Now let's talk about a little bit about the Holdridge model for life zones. In order to be able to analyze these life zones of our country, we first need to have the international nomenclature to be able to make our local classifications. The reference used worldwide is the Holdridge diagram, which is shown in the following scheme. And the diagram represents the different general life zones of the world, but for Guatemala, local adaptations are made. Now let's continue. Here we can see the Holdridge model for life zones. And this model is a bioclimatic classification system that divides the world into different vegetation zones based on 3 climatic variables. These 3 main parameters or variables are the potential evapotranspiration rate, the annual precipitation in millimeters, and also the humidity provinces. Based on these main parameters, this model shows us the classification of different life zones around the world, as we can see here. And there are almost 100 different or types of life zones around the world. The biotemperature means that annual temperature that is available for plant growth. And the precipitation here is the annual amount of rainfall or snowfall. And the last one, the potential evapotranspiration rate, refers to the amount of water that would be evaporated from a vegetative surface if there was unlimited water available. The Holdridge model uses these 3 variables to calculate a thermal index and a moisture index. The thermal index is a measure of the amount of heat available for plant growth, and the moisture index is a measure of the amount of water available for plant growth. The combination of the thermal index and the moisture index determines the life zone. There are over 100 different life zones in the Holdridge model, each with its own characteristics and vegetation. Now we're going to talk about the life zones in Guatemala. And the first one is the very dry tropical forest. In that we have here a short term, but in Spanish it means bosque muy seco tropical. And the location and extension of this life zone are in the departments of El Progreso, Zacapa, and Chiquimula. Consider the driest region of the country. It has a territorial extension of 81,887 hectares, equivalent to the 0.76% of the national territory. Let's check this on the next slide. The very dry tropical forest, Bosque muy seco tropical, has a unique climate and vegetative characteristics. And we can see a cactus and also some shrubs that are the unique characteristics of this life zone. Let's continue. The climatic condition of these zones registers an annual rainfall between 577 and 1033 millimeters, with an average of 740 millimeters per year. The minimum and maximum temperature values are between 23.10 and 27.40 Celsius degrees, with an average value of 26.04 Celsius degrees. It means that we have this small region like a desert, and we are going to see this on the next map. And also we need to analyze this graphic here, the red line and also the blue graphic that give us an idea on how the rain water is covering this small area. So we can see here that the blue graphic are between the values of 0 and 150 millimeters by year. It occurs between the months of March here and November. It means that we only have 150 millimeters of rain per year at this region. And we can also see the red line that is the average of evapotranspiration that occurs on this small land. And we can see that it is like 100 average, 100 average of the evapotranspiration. That is a small rate. Let's check the next slide. Here we have the very dry tropical forest mapped, and you can see that this is a small area here, and we can have a zoom of this little area that covers the departments of El Progreso, Zacapa, and Chiquimula. We also see at the bottom here that the Holdridge model locates this small life zone here in the red color, and it occupies like 0.06 76% of the national territory of Guatemala. Now let's continue. This is the second life zone that is called tropical dry forest. And this short term here in Spanish means bosque seco tropical. The location and extension of this life zone is in the northern Petén as well as in the departments of El Progreso, Zacapa, Chiquimula, and Jutiapa, and along the Pacific coast, covering the departments of San Marcos, Quetzaltenango, Retaluleu, Suchitepeques, Escuintla, Santa Rosa, and Jutiapa. It has a territorial extension of 2,079, um, I mean 2,079,181 hectares, and it is equivalent to 19.21% of the national territory. It means that this is the second largest life zone in the country. Here we can see the climate and vegetative characteristics of this zone. This picture was taken in National Park El Mirador, Petén, and we can see that there are many trees and also dry soil as unique characteristics of this life zone. Let's continue with the climatic conditions. The annual rainfall in this life zone ranges between 705 and 1,863 millimeters per year for an average of 1,407 millimeters. We can analyze the graphic here below, and if we analyze carefully the blue line, blue graphic, we can see that it reaches an amount of about 200 millimeters per year from April to November, or on in this case, and the average value for the evapotranspiration, that is the red line here, is also 100 millimeters per year. It means that this red line here is the water that this region returns to the air as water vapor. Let's continue. The dominant land uses of this area is covered by forest, the 22.22%, by shrubs and bushes, and the 12.02% by livestock, also 5.67% by sugar cane, and 4.96% by basic grains. The rest of the territory is used for another land uses. Let's continue. Here we can see the region of the country that is covered by this tropical dry forest or bosque seco tropical. We can see here also the Holdridge model that indicates the brown color, and also it means that 19.24% of this uh, region is the total amount against the total area of our country. So we can see that it covers here part of the department of Petén, El Progreso, Zacapa, Chiquimula, Retaluleu, Suchitepeques, Escuintla, Santa Rosa,